All right, I'm going to check out this Stevens Model 301 410. This is the turkey gun. I'm going to do this video a little different than what most people do it, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail already and the ammo selection here. So this is a turkey gun. It's got the extra full choke on it. It's removable, by the way. More on that later. And I've seen a few videos on this, and obviously it's geared towards turkey hunting. It's turkey version with the turkey choke and all that. And most of you know by now you can use that TSS stuff, that really heavy shot. So you can actually use 9-shot to kill turkey with, because it's super dense, super heavy, heavier than lead by quite a bit. But that stuff is super expensive. So I'm curious to see, I don't know if I would shoot a turkey with this stuff, but I'm curious to see, maybe with the 6-shot. Anyways, curious to see how it will pattern this more traditional ammo. And when these things first came out like 2-3 years ago, or however long it's been now, my first thought when I seen them, because I used to hunt squirrel with a 410 when I was younger, and my first thought was, hey man, with that long barrel and that extra full choke, that should make a really good squirrel gun. And I mean, maybe someone has, but of the reviews I've watched, nobody's even mentioned that. They've always just been focused on the turkey aspect of it, because it is pretty amazing that now with the TSS ammunition, you know, you can actually effectively hunt turkey now with a 410. So obviously that's great for people that are recoil sensitive, you know, like little kids or maybe petite women or the old folk or whatever. But you know, everyone always focuses on that aspect, and they shoot the turkey loads and they shoot the turkey target. And so I'm going to do it different here, and I'm going to see what it does with these more traditional loadings. Like I said, I got 7.5, 6-shot, and 9-shot. So we're going to see how it actually patterns that stuff. And again, my thought being that this thing would make like an excellent squirrel shotgun. So that's what we're going to do today. So hopefully that's going to be refreshing for anyone who's been researching these and watching the videos on them, because as far as I know, I'm the only one that's sent this regular stuff through it, because everyone always puts that turkey shot through it. So for anyone who's interested, these are usually in the low 200 range at any given gun store, but I have seen them on sale before. You know, the turkey version here for $189.99. Sometimes you can get the regular plain Jane version that's not the turkey model for even less, but usually right around 200 bucks is what you're looking for one of these. Obviously it is a single shot. It comes with this rail on it, which I believe, and we're going to try this on camera here today. You see it's got a raised ramp for that front bead, and it's got a groove in the rail there, so you can see the bead sight through that groove there. And I believe with it being on that raised ramp there, you should be able to use it without an optic and actually hit what you're aiming at. So we will test that today. And then of course you can put a little red dot on here, or potentially, I don't know if you can get a scope on there or not, but I'm definitely going to try in a future video. I'm going to try to see if I can get improved cylinder or cylinder bore choke or something like that for it. It says it's a wind choke pattern, the thread there, so hopefully I can find a cylinder bore or improved cylinder. And I'm going to try putting some slugs through this thing, especially with being able to have an optic on there, at least a red dot. I'm thinking this thing should shoot slugs really well, so stay tuned for that, because I do definitely intend to do that in the near future, provided I could find that choke for it. So there's the rail there. There's your front brass bead sight, if this would focus for me. There's a choke tube sticking out the end there. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like what I was talking about. A little easier said than done, one-handed on camera and whatnot. So you pull the hammer back. Where are we at here? Yeah, you can see the bead down there, so you just kind of bring it down there through that rail there, and I believe that's going to allow you to hit point of impact. So I don't think you necessarily have to run an optic on this to use it. This rail is removable. It's held on by 2 screws, and initially I was like, oh, I probably got to take that off if I just want to use the bead sight, but that was until I noticed that it's on a raised ramp there. So again, I think the intention is so that you can leave this on and still use the bead sight, and we will find out. I found it interesting, this thing does have a safety. Well, if I pull the hammer back, okay, so, and it is easy to manipulate, and if you do it slowly, it makes practically no, there's just like the slightest click. So let's say you're sitting there turkey hunting, you got the hammer pulled back and one of them comes out, so you want to flick it off. Let me see here. Yeah, real light. There's just a real tiny, barely audible, little tiny click. You guys might not even be able to hear it, so hear it. So I don't think it's anything that's not going to scare a turkey off, so that's good. If you are utilizing the safety there. Now for the trigger, I don't know if all of them are like this, but this one at least has a real heavy trigger. Maybe to loosen up with some time after a few shots, but it does have a pretty stout trigger. there's no play or anything. It's a nice crisp break, but it weighs quite literally about 10 pounds to break. So it does have quite a heavy trigger on it. But very crisp, no play whatsoever. It's just a little heavy there. So like I said, heavy shot brake barrel. It does not fold in half, although it does detach here. You got a little button on these. It was kind of nice. I had the old Rossi one where you had to screw the thing in the bottom there and unscrew it to take this on and off and break it down. But this one just has a button you'll depress, and then you can pop that off, and then it literally just comes in 2 pieces right there. So it's easier than the older styles for breaking them down, because now you got that little button and slot lever thing in here to break them down real quick. Like so. And you do have these swivel mounts here, so you got the one on the front there. If I'm not in the shadow, you can see her there. And then there's the one on the rear, so you can attach a sling if you so desire. Also, another thing I noticed, it does have a really nice, real soft recoil pad there. So even though 410 is going to be very light on recoil already, it has a real nice soft rubber butt pad there, so to make it even softer shooting still. But I'll get this thing back together and we'll get to shoot. Now here we got some steel targets. I'll hit a few steel targets with some of the shots. I'm going to shoot it with just the brass bead first to, again, confirm whether or not it hits point of aim without taking the rail off there. We'll do some patterns and whatnot on some targets and see how she does. Alright, I'm going to start out with this Winchester 6 shot. I'm going to shoot that box up there first with the bead sight. See if it patterns center on that. Looks pretty centralized, so I would say that you can in fact use the bead with the rail on there, so hit dead center there. Alright, so I guess we'll get the patterning this thing on that box. I'll get a laser rangefinder on a distance, so I think we'll start at 20 yards at first, and we'll test those shells out up there that I got and see how they pattern. Alright, so there's our target right there. Laser rangefinder confirmed, 20.3 yards. If you guys are looking for a good budget rangefinder, link in the description for that one. I've been using it for years and love it, especially for the price. So we'll start out here. Ideally, the smaller shot will pattern tighter because there's more BBs, so we'll go 6-shot Winchester, 7.5 shot Federal, and then what is this? Yeah, 9-shot Federal. Now these are all 2.5-inch shells. This does accept up to 3-inch shells, which they don't make them longer than 3-inch. But so whenever I would squirrel hunt with a 410 back in the day, I'd always use the 3-inch shells. That way I got a denser. Well, I had more pellets in the pattern, so I would highly recommend using 3-inch. But right now it is like impossible to find 410 ammo. I'm lucky that I even found this stuff recently. So 2.5-inch it is, but just keep in mind that you're going to have more BBs on your target down there if you were using 3-inch shells. So anyways, I'll start with the Winchester 6, then the 7.5, then the 9-shot. 20.3 yards, and then we'll probably move it out further when we're done with this trio here.
Ow.
All right, let's see what this thing looks like. It looked like it peppered it pretty good. I know it's only 20 yards, but hey, I mean, with a standard 410, 20 yards is already kind of stretching it. So, wow, yeah, that patterned really good. The, let's see here. We got some down here, and then some up here too, but you can see that well, I mean, we got 2 right in the bullseye there. So, again, pretty well centered pattern just off that bead there. I just, covered the center with the bead and pulled the trigger, so yeah, that's a good pattern from 20 yards right there. All right, now we'll do the 7.5s. Did you get shot in the face again?
No, I hit the phone.
All right, there's our Federal 7.5. I got some dirt kicked up on it. Must have had some hit low down here and kick up mud on it. So that's a pretty good pattern there too. It doesn't really look any tighter on the shoot and see at least, or splatter target, or whatever you would call it. You can see we can got some shots down there. This is fresh too. I'm changing both of these every single time. So we got some down there, up around here. So that seems a little more evenly distributed. It looks like it's favoring right slightly. It looks like there's more pellet impacts over there. Well, there's a good bit here too, but it kind of seemed to like cover the whole thing more than that Winchester 6 did, because the Winchester 6 left it kind of bare down here. But regardless on what we were actually aiming at, it looks about the same. So that actually means that 6-shot did pretty well considering there was less of them. All right, now the Federal 9-shot. Now that one has quite a few there. That was a lot more dense. And it is peppered pretty much everywhere. And there's a whole bunch more here. So, but you do not want to shoot a squirrel with 9-shot. I think people use that for like dove or whatever, or shooting clays, but that shot is too small and light to really kill anything with a thick hide. So you don't want to use, I wouldn't even honestly use 7.5 on squirrel unless you're real close. I prefer 6-shot or larger for squirrel, which is why it was always so difficult with 410, because you got to be like 20-25 yards away. But that's why I'm thinking this extra full choke, that's going to help. So we're going to set it out further now and see what she does. All right, so now I decided to go 35 yards out there. I'm real low on this 9-shot here. In most of those videos where they were testing those turkey loads, most of the guys at 35-40 yards, you know, it still looked like it was lethal on a turkey with those special TSS loads. Lethal at 40, but not by much. You know, you got like a few hits in the head and the neck, and so, you know, most people would state at that point, okay, I think that's about the limit here, 35-40 yards, which is pretty freaking good for a 410, but that was with that 9-shot TSS loads. So I'm gonna have it out there at 35 yards, like I said, and we'll see how these do. And again, remember, they're 2.5-inch shells. With a 3-inch shell, you'd have even more shots, so ideally you would do even better with a 3-inch shell. But we'll see what she does here at 35 yards with these generic shells. All right, back to the Winchester 6-shot. And then we'll do 7.5 and then 9. I'm not expecting a whole lot from 2.5-inch 6-shot from there, though it is an extra full choke, but again, 410, so we'll see what we got. Yeah, that's not looking too good there, so hopefully the other two will do better. I'm sure 9-shot at least will do better, but again, you're not really shooting anything other than maybe a little bird with 9-shot at this distance, because it ain't gonna do it in. So yeah, there's a few hits down here. I just covered it again. I just put the bead in the middle. So, but with the way they're hitting, look like maybe some of them, maybe it went a little high, but I don't think so. That's just the pattern from there with those 6s. So, all right, 7.5, 35 yards. Well, that's looking tremendously better. Be interesting to see what the 9-shot will do. Again, I don't know what game animal you would want to hit with 9-shot, but so there is your 7.5. Definitely did better than that 6. Now again, imagine if you had 3-inch shells with even more shot in them. That 6-shot with a 3-inch shell would have probably looked like this down here if you had a 3-inch shell with more shot in it. Those turkey loads, though, those are amazing because I think most of them are 3-inch, plus they have 9-shot in them, so they have a ton of shot in them. And it would be like 3 times this amount at least at this distance. Those things are really amazing, but like I said, I want to see what it do just with this regular stuff, especially considering I haven't seen anyone else test the regular shot from it. Number 9. All right, there's a 9-shot. A little tighter, but not a whole lot. Got them clear down here. Got them clear up here. So nice overall even spread, not favoring high, low, left, right, anything like that. And you got one in the bullseye there. So that's a few more impacts on the shoot and see there than with the 7.5. So as you can see there, though, even with that 9-shot, I mean, I guess it's still kind of hit or miss, because like, let's say you were shooting, I don't know, a grouse or something, dove, there it is, it's that big. Obviously, if it's flying in the air, you would have impacts, but just sitting there, you could have missed the entire thing with all those shots. So, but again, compared to like your standard 410s with modified and full choke at 35 yards with just the 2.5-inch shells, this is definitely better. And like I said, these are all 2.5, so if you ran the 3-inch, we'd have even better patterns. So man, I really wish we had 3 inches. I think those would have been good to go at 35 or at least 30 yards. But like I said, I mean, if you guys have shopped around for 410 ammo right now, you know you can't find it anywhere. Alright, so that'll do it. Now you guys, if you're looking into these, you know what they'll do with your standard 2.5-inch stuff, 6, 7.5, and 9. Like I said, there's plenty of videos out there, everyone else putting those turkey loads through it with the TSS. So I'm sure you've already found that by now. If not, there's a ton of them out there. But that's what she'll do with the more regular stuff. Now again, that was 2.5-inch, so if you run the 3-inch, you have even better results there. So I think it would be good for 30, 35 yards on like squirrel, rabbit, whatever, if you're using the 3-inch shells. So like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to try to find like a cylinder bore or improved cylinder choke for it, since it's removable. And we'll try to do some slug shooting, like accuracy group, whatnot, longer range and whatnot. I think I mentioned it already. I have a 100-yard video with a Rossi single shot already, shooting 410 slugs 100 yards accurately, both Winchester and Remington slugs. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to go check that out. Obviously 100 yards is like beyond the range of effectiveness for a 410 on deer, so I wouldn't recommend shooting a deer at 100 yards with a 410 slug, even if you can place it accurately. But it'll still be cool to see what this thing can do with an optic. If I can get the right choke for that with slugs, it'll probably be a lot more accurate. You're going to get good velocity from that long barrel there. And then who knows, maybe I'll be able to take them out for 150 yards. Like, it would just be plainly for fun, but it'd still be cool to get accurate shots with a 410 slug at 150 yards over and over. So check out that video linked in the description with the Rossi at 100 yards. And then, like I said, if I can find that choke, we'll have some slug videos coming up with this thing too. Also on that note, guys, if I can find some 3-inch shells, I'll do another little quick update video with some 3-inch shells. We'll do some patterns with those if I can find any relatively soon, which, I mean, currently I have not seen any. But if I come across any, we'll do a 3-inch video. But that's going to do it for today. Appreciate you watching. If you guys want to get any products you see me using the video, like some of my steel targets I got out there, shooting bag, ear muffs, rangefinder, and more, links in the description for that. But I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one.